In this lesson, we are going to cover simplifying, multiplying, and dividing rational expressions. And before we started with simplifying, multiplying, and dividing rational expressions, we want to go over what the similarity between rational numbers and rational expressions. Rational numbers are the fractions that we have learned before. So for example, the rational number could be 2 over 3. And the rational expressions means two polynomials divide. So it could be 2x plus 1, two terms divided by x squared minus 2x minus 3. So two polynomials divide. We call it rational expressions. The similarity between these two is in the form of division. So we could write number n divided by number m for rational numbers, and for the rational expressions we could write p expression divided by expression q. And the variables, the n and the m, these two are going to be integers, so we use a set notation, belongs integers I. And the rational expressions are polynomials. So P and Q are polynomials. So polynomials are the expressions with degrees for x integers. And the restriction, we need to make sure both of them, the denominator shouldn't be 0. And q should not be 0. And the examples will be two numbers, integers divide, 2 over 3, negative 1 over 2. And the integers could be rational numbers too, because all the integers we could write it as 2 divided by 1. And for the rational expressions could be any x polynomials divided by another polynomial. So x over x minus 1, or x squared minus 1 over 2x plus 1, etc. And the irrational examples. Irrational examples means examples that they are not rational numbers. So the numbers couldn't be written as a fraction. So for example, square root 2. This couldn't be written as a fraction. Integer divided by integer, or the number pi. They are the irrational examples. And the irrational expressions, not rational expressions, you couldn't write it as polynomials divided by polynomials, could be the square root 2x minus 1. So this one is not irrational expression, not polynomials divided by polynomials. So polynomials, you need to have the degrees integers. So we are going to see how we are going to simplify, multiply, and divide rational expressions. That is similar with simplify the rational numbers. So this is rational numbers and how we can simplify it. You could use your calculator, type in 20. If you have fraction button, A, B/C, or fraction button, numerator over denominator, you could type it in 20 over 68. Then it will give you the simplified form, 5 over 17. And what this one means is both numbers have a number 20 divided by 5 give you 4. And this is the greatest common factor. And the simplify means you need to cancel the greatest common factor from numerator and denominator. Cancel means divided. So 20 divided by 4 for numerator, also 68 divided by 4. Then you will have the lowest form for this fraction. And this one we call simplify. So 5 over 17. So this is from rational number simplify. And for part 1, we are going to just focus on simplifying the rational expression. And part 2, we are going to see how to do multiplying and dividing rational expressions. From simplifying, multiplying, dividing rational expressions, the operations will be similar with simplifying, multiplying, dividing fractions. So we are going to look for the greatest common factor, then the numerator, denominator divided by that greatest common factor. Then you will have the lowest form without any common factor. Then it is simplified. So for this one, we are going to see we have 4 bracket x minus 2 bracket squared. It means you have 4x minus 2, x minus 2 as factors for numerator. And also for denominator, we need to see if we are able to factor the denominator. So 2x minus 4. If you have numbers from the terms, you could do the fraction, use fraction button to see if it has the lowest form. Then you will, if you type in, you will have 1 or 2. What this one means, it means that you have a common factor 2. 2 divided by 2 give you 2. 4 divided by 2 give you 2. So you have a great common factor, and this is greatest common factor because 1, 2 are prime number. So we are going to take this greatest common factor out for the denominator. Then each term divided by that number, it will give you 1 and 2. So 1x, we don't have to write a 1 at front. 4 divided by 2 give you 2. So these two numbers give you the number left in the bracket. So minus 2. So 1x minus 2. 2 times x, 2x. 2 times negative 2 give you negative 4. Then after that, we are going to simplify it. So 4 over 2, you have common factor 2. You will divide it common factor 2 to both numerator, denominator, you have 2 over 1. Then for the x minus 2, the bracket, they are same. So we could cancel the whole bracket out. So x minus 2 divided by x minus 2 is 1. This x minus 2 squared divided by x minus 2 is just a degree, take 1. Take away 1 is x minus 2. So what you will have is x minus 2 to the degree 2 over 1, and the denominator is 1 times 1. Denominator is 1, we don't have to write it, so it's final answer 2 times x minus 2. And this is a simplified form, but we need to be careful the denominator couldn't be 0. So that is a restriction for the variable. So the restriction means you need to find out which number makes the denominator equal 0, then you need to avoid it. Restrictions is a denominator. We could use a factor form. So denominator is 2 times x minus 2. This couldn't be 0. So how to find the number that make it not equal to 0? We are going to solve it equal to 0, then get rid of that number. So 2 times x minus 2 equals 0. We could divide it by 2 to both sides. Then you will have x minus 2 equals 0. And in order to solve for x, this is linear equation, isolate x by moving negative 2 to other side, doing opposite operation. So you have x equals 2. This means when x equals 2, the denominator will be 0. That restriction means we get rid of that number. X couldn't be 2. So this is a simplified form with restrictions. This is what the question is asking you to do. So get rid of all the common factors and indicate the restrictions. So we are going to try another one. So 9/36, use your calculator, you will find out the lowest form is 1/4. Both could be divided by 9. Then the bracket, if you have the same bracket, means they have the same base. We are going to cancel the same factors out. So this common factor will be the lowest degree. So the lowest degree for this bracket, this factor is 2, and for another bracket, the lowest degree is 1. So both numerator and the denominator will be divided by these 2. Division of the variables will be the same base, then same base will be just minus a degree. So we are going to have 1 times x minus plus 3 bracket cubed minus 2 is 1. So you have x plus 3 to the exponent 3 minus 2 is 1. Y minus 1 to the degree 1. 1 minus 1 give you 0. So this base power is gone. And the denominator we have 4. Then x plus 3 squared divided by x plus 3 squared is the same base. Degree subtract 2 minus 2 is 0 is gone. Y minus 1 degree 2 minus degree 1, you have y minus 1 to the exponent 1 left. So exponent 1 we don't have to write. So this is a check again. There's no common factors. So this is a simplified, simple list form. Then we need to decide the restrictions. So restrictions will be the denominator cannot be 0. And we have a 0 properties. If the denominator equals 0, then each factor will be 0. So x plus 3 is a factor equals 0. Y minus 1 factor should be 0. Then you just square root both sides will be 0. So x plus 3 equals 0. Move the plus 3 to other side, you have x equals negative 3. Restriction means x couldn't be negative 3. You put negative 3 here, the denominator will be 0. So we write denominator equals 0. Once we find that number, that is a restriction. You couldn't have y or x equals that. So move to other side, opposite operation is plus. So x couldn't be negative 3, y couldn't be positive 1. So this is restrictions. So these are factored form already, and sometimes the rational expressions may not be factors. You have to factor both denominator and numerator. So 4x plus 12, 4/12, use a fraction button on your calculator, you will have 1/3. So it means both 4 and 12, you will have a factor 4, common factor 4. So we take the 4 out. Then 4 divided by 4 give you 1x. 12 divided by 4 give you 3 plus 3y. You expand, it will go back. And for the denominator, we are going to factor it like a simple trinomial factoring. So you are looking for two numbers times together. The last term, negative 12. Add together, negative 1. So the two numbers will be 3 and 4. Larger number need to be same as the sum. Need to be negative. So 3 and 4. we put plus 3 minus 4 here, but we have the y squared there, so we are going to just the square root of y put in. Then you will check x times x, x squared. 3y times negative 4y give you negative 12y squared. The middle is 3xy minus 4xy give you negative xy. Then after that, we are looking for each bracket, which one? Same. So this x plus 3y, x plus 3y, they are the same. So we could cancel them out. So degree 1 minus degree 1 give you 0, so it's gone. Then the numerator is 4 times 1 give you 1. Denominator 1 times x minus 4y is x minus 4y. Then we need to find the restrictions. Restrictions means the denominator couldn't be 0. Then we let each factor of the denominator equal 0. Then the statement we are going to get rid of that value. Then we will be able to make sure that the denominator won't be 0. So x plus 3y, we solve for x, we move the 3y to other side is minus, opposite operation, and x minus 4y, we move the minus 4y to other side, it will be positive 4y. So when you have two variables, we just solve for one variable, then it's okay. So the restrictions will be x couldn't be negative 3y and couldn't be 4y. We could write them together. So restriction means we put this negative 3y here, give you 0. That is not permitted. So that's reason we need to get rid of this value that makes the denominator equal 0. Then we continue the next one. So 6x squared plus 25xy minus 25y squared over x squared minus 25y. So last time we know that we just do the factoring, then we put the variable square root after the number we got. So for the denominator is x squared minus 5y squared. So that is a difference of squares. And for the numerator, it's not simple trinomial, so we need to use times equals AC, negative 150, add together 25. Then we could have 5 and 30. Add together positive, the larger number need to be positive. Times together negative, so 5 need to be negative. Then after that, we are not able to put negative 5 and 30 in the bracket right away. We need to see, we could use a box method or you could use a grouping method. So I show you the box method first. So the box method will be put the numerator, the first term in the first box, last term in the last box, and the middle term we are going to use the two numbers we found, split the middle term. So negative 5xy, positive 30xy, add together give you 25. Then we factor the first row, common factor will be x. Then we do 3 divisions, 6x squared divided by x, we have 6x. Negative 5xy divided by x, we have negative 5y. Then third step, 30xy, the box, the cell in the box divided by one cell, divided by 6x, give you 5x, 5y. Then the last one for checking. So negative 5y times 5y give you negative 25y squared. So these two sides times together give you the area of these 4 boxes. Then these add together is your 3 terms trinomials. So we put these two sides in the bracket. We call this length and width model. Okay? X plus 5y, 6x minus 5y. Then we continue factor the denominator, or we could just rewrite the denominator as a difference of squares. So we ignore the so we put the square root in the bracket because that is difference of squares. Difference of squares means subtract x squared minus bracket 5y squared. The square root of them is x and 5y, 1 plus, 1 minus. So the middle will be plus 5xy minus 5xy. The middle term will be gone. Then from here we are looking for the same bracket. We call them common factors. So same bracket x plus 5y, x plus 5y. Each divided by x plus 5y, you will have 1 there. So final answer will be 1 times 6x minus 5y is 6x minus 5y. And the new denominator is 1 times x minus 5y. So this is simplified form. Then we need to find restrictions. Restrictions means we are looking for the variable that makes the denominator equal 0. So we let each bracket the factor of the denominator equals 0 to find the restriction. Solve for x, solve for y of the variable. So x plus 5y equals 0 or x minus 5y equals 0. Isolate x, move the 5y to other side. Opposite operation is minus. And another one, minus 5y to other side is positive. So these are the two x values will make the denominator equal 0. Then restrictions means x couldn't equal to these two expressions. Okay? So that is for the rational expressions. Without rational expressions multiplying and dividing, just one rational, one fraction, simplify it to the lowest form. So this is part 1. Then we are going to start part 2, that is multiplying on the dividing rational expressions. So it's similar to the fractions multiplying, dividing. So we have fractions multiplying, then we times the numerator and we times the denominator. After that, we are going to find the common factors. So 3 over 9, 3 over 22, you will find out there's no simplification, so we could try 3 over 9. So 3 over 9 from your calculator, you will have 1 over 3 as a lowest form. 11 over 22 from your calculator, you will have 1 over 2. So what it means, 3 over 9, both divided by 3, you have common factor 3. 11 over 12, 11 to 1 means divided by 11. So greatest common factor will be 3 and 11. So divided 3 to both top and bottom, we have 1 and 3. Both divided by 11, we have 1 and 2. Then numerator, the two numbers times. 1 times 1 give you 1. 2 times 3 give you 6. That is the idea that we are going to apply for rational expressions. We find the factors of each rational expression and cancel the common factors out. For divisions of fractions, we know we are going to change the division to multiplication by flipping the divisor. So it will be times 40 over 27. Then it will be multiplying. So 3 times 40, then divide by 2 times 27. Then you could use your calculator to find out. The lowest form will be, so this is a 9, this is a 20, so your calculator will give you 20 over 9. So this is a, so you could do 3 over 27, your calculator will give you 1 over 9, 40 over 2 give you 20. Then this is a common factor is 2, common factor is 9, 3 divided by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so common factor for this is 3, common factor for this is 2. So we cancel both divided by 3, both divided by 2. This is for fractions. You could use your fraction button on your calculator to do the simplification. But for rational expression, you need to know how to factor the polynomials. So for rational expressions, P, Q, they are polynomials. So for multiplication, it's just numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. For division, we flip the second rational expression, then times the numerator times denominator. And for the rational expressions, be careful. Your restrictions, you need to make sure. Multiplication, you have 2 denominators. For division, you have 1, 2, and also once you flip, you have 3. 3 denominators to find the restrictions. So we are going to see. The steps is factor the numerators and the denominators if possible. Then, if divide, we multiply by the flip of the divisor. And after that, times numerator times denominator and divide out all the common factors. Write the result as a one fraction. We call one single rational expression. Then state the restrictions. Determine the zeros of all the denominators. So this one we have 2, and if divided we have 3. So simplify each of the following rational expressions and state any restrictions. So this one we call them monomial, no adding, subtracting of one terms. So for multiplying, we just times the numerator times denominator. So 9x squared times 12xy squared, then 4xy times 3x. So after that, we are going to just divide it all the common factor out. So this one 3, 9 over 3 is 3. 12 over 4, both could be divided by 4 is 3. So x, we cancel x out. Then this one, cancel 1 out is 1. This one we have another x, so we cancel another 1 out is x to x1 and 0 is gone. And the y, we could cancel 1 y out. Degree minus 1 give you 1. So then we are going to see 3 times, we have 3 times 1 times 3 times x times y. Then denominator is 1. This one is cancel out is 1 times 1 times 1, then times 1. So all the x out. Then we times the numerator together. 3 times 3 is 9. Then xy. So what we have done is, I will repeat what we did. 9x squared times 12xy squared. Then 4xy 3x. So what we did is get rid of all the numbers. So 9, 12, 4, 3, we cancel all the numbers out. Then after that, for the variables, we are going to do the subtraction. So this one, degree minus 1, you have 1 left. Then degree minus 1 again, then this one is gone. And for the y, we have y squared divided by y. 2 minus 1 give you 1. So that's reason 1 y left. And this one, x squared, cancel out with this 2x. So this one is 1, cancel out with this 2x. Then this y cancel out with y is 1. So we have all the denominator at the bottom is 1, 1, 1. This one, y, we can cancel out. Okay. And the restrictions will be of denominator. So we have two denominators. 4xy couldn't be 0. So we set it as 0, but write the restrictions at not 0. Okay. 4xy equals 0 to solve for the zeros, then restricted. This value not permitted. So this one times together equals 0, then each factor could be 0. So divide by 4, you have x times y equals 0. The x could be 0 or y could be 0. Both make this 4x times y equals 0. And this one, we move the 3 to other side by doing division, so x equals 3. Then it means these values are not permitted. So x couldn't be 0, and y couldn't be 0. So this is done. This is multiplication, and once we times numerator times denominator together, it goes back to the rational expression simplification. So this one, we have plus these 3 terms, not monomials. So if 3 terms, each term, they are not the factors. You cannot cancel them out. You need to write it as factors. Something times something. We call this factor form. Then times, so over x, this is one term. We don't have to, no adding, subtracting. We don't have to factor that one out. Then this one, you have minus, you have 2 terms. This one, you have minus, you have 2 terms. So adding, subtracting, these 2 terms, not factors. You need to write bracket times bracket. So x squared plus 2x plus 1, the number at front of x squared is 1, so it's simple trinomial. Simple trinomial, we could put x in the bracket. Just need to find the 2 numbers, times together is 1, add together is 2. So which 2 numbers times together 1, add together 2, 1 is prime number. You only have 1 times 1 equals 1. So then add together is 2, both could be positive. So we have 1 and 1 as factors. You also can check 1 times 1 give you 1, 1x plus 1x give you 2x. So these 2 numbers times together is your last term. X squared minus x, you have 2 terms. We want to find, do we have common factor? 2 variables both have, 2 terms both have variable x. Then the lowest degree for the variable is the common factor. So lowest degree from x squared and x is x. Then each term divided by x. The variable division, the degree subtract. So 2 minus 1 give you x to the exponent 1. X divided by x, 1 minus 1 degree is 0, so it's minus 1. So x divided by x is now 0. The degree is 0. X to the exponent 0 give you 1. X squared minus 1, we call this difference of squares. Put the square root of each term in the bracket. X times x give you x squared. 1 times 1 give you 1. And the difference of squares give you 1 plus 1 minus. So plus 1 times minus 1 give you minus 1. plus x minus x give you 0x. Then after that, we are going to see if we have any common factors, common same bracket. The bracket have the same term, so same thing in the bracket. So x plus 1, x plus 1, they are same. We can cancel them out. Both degree is 1, and divided by x plus 1 give you 1. And x minus 1, these two brackets same. We can cancel them out. Both degree 1, so cancel out, give you degree 0 is 1. And xx, same factor, cancel out, is 1. Then you will have 1 times x plus 1 times 1 times 1 give you x plus 1. And the denominator you have 1 times 1 times 1 give you 1. So the final answer is x plus 1. And we are going to see the restrictions. Restrictions will be the denominator. You have two denominators, x plus 1. We use a factor form. Both couldn't be 0, so we don't have to write it as not equal to, but it's up to you. You could write it as not equal to 0. And the solving for this not equal to is same as solving for using the equal sign. So the first one, x equals 0, is only one factor, is solved. And these two, you have two factors, each factor could be 0. Then times together will give you 0. So solve it. Move the plus 1 to other side is negative 1. Minus 1, move to other side is plus 1. So x equals negative 1 and positive 1. So when we write the restrictions, we want to write the numbers from the smallest to the largest according to the order on the number line. So x should not be equal to negative 1, 0, and 1 from the least to the largest. So this is how you do the simplification for multiplying rational expressions. So step 1, try to factor numerator, denominator. The reason is you can only cancel the factor out. X squared, 2x, 1, they are 3 terms. They are not factors of these 3 terms, trinomials. And x plus 1, they are the factors of this. So you could only cancel the factors out. So this is 2 examples. Then we are going to try one more. So this one is division. And we are going to flip it, but we are going to factor it first, then flip. Okay, so this one, 3 terms. You have 2 plus sign, 3 terms, and each term not factor. You need to factor it. You only can cancel factors out. What we call factors. 12 equals 2 times 3 times 2. 2, 3, 2. They are the factors. If you have 12, you could write as 2 plus 3 plus 6. Okay. 1 plus 4 plus 7, you can have the 12. 12 also we could write it as 1 plus 4 plus 7 equals 12. And 7 is not a factor of 12, so that's reason if adding, they may not be a factor of that sum. So you couldn't use x squared as a factor, 3x as a factor. You cannot cancel the x squared out from the denominator randomly. You only can cancel the brackets factors out. So this one, times together equals 2, I together equals 3. 2 is a prime number, so you don't have other choice, is minus 3. And I together is 3, so it works. Then the denominator, you have x4 minus 4x squared. Two terms. When you have variables, in each term, you are going to consider the common factor. So for variables, the common factor will be the lowest degree from each term. So this is squared. Now after you take the common factor out, each term divided by that common factor, the degree will be subtracted. So x to the exponent 4 divided by x to the exponent 2, 4 minus 2 give you 2. Then minus 4 divided by 1 is 1. The degree subtract 2 minus 2 is 0. X to the exponent 0 is 1. And this division, we change it to multiplication and we factor it flip. So x squared minus x minus 2, you are going to do the times together is last term, I together negative 1. 2 is a prime number, you only have 1 and 2. I together is negative, so larger number need to be negative. Times together negative, so 1 negative, 1 positive. It works. Then for these three terms, you have variable from each term, then we are going to see if we have common factors for variable. If you have the numbers 592, you also can check if you have common factors from 592. 5 is prime number, 2 is prime number. You will not have a common factor from 2 prime numbers. So we only have variable as a common factor. So x times 5, each term divided by x, degree subtract. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 minus 1 give you 1. 2x divided by x is 2, so minus 2. That equals, continue factor it. X plus 1, x plus 2. Then all over x squared. You have two terms in the bracket. Check if it is a common difference of squares. So this multiplication, we don't want to use a cross because it's easier to consider as x. So we use a dot to represent the multiplication. X squared minus 4. 4 is a perfect square. So minus 2 squared. Then we could put the square root in the bracket. And its difference of squares 1 plus 1 minus. Only you can factor difference of squares. If you have x squared plus 4, it's not factorable because both plus positive, you will not get 0x. So this one, you don't have x, it means 0x. So 2x minus 2x give you 0x. Then times x bracket, this is a tricky trinomial, so you need to use times together equals AC, I together equals the middle term. So times together is 5 times negative 2 equals negative 10. I together is negative 9. So you will try 1 times 10, then 2 times 5. So 110 may work. And because this is a tricky trinomial, so you are not able to put the two numbers in the bracket right away. So there's another way you can do it because this 5 is a prime number. So you don't have other choice, only 1 and 5. So x and 5x. And the two numbers we found, I together need to be negative 9, so larger number need to be negative. And these two numbers are the cross. Multiply the number you will have. So we are not able to put 1 here. 1 divided by 5 won't give you an integer, so we need to put negative 10 here. and 1 upside. So negative 10 divided by 5 give you negative 2. And 1 divided by 1 give you positive 1. So we double check. X times 5x, 5x squared. Negative 2 times 1 give you negative 2. The middle, negative 10x, 1x give you negative 9x. So it works. And if the 5x squared 5 is not a prime number, then you need to try more combinations. If prime number, then you don't have other choice. So we got all the factoring done. Then the marks will be given this way. You factor the first numerator correctly, 2 marks. You factor the denominator correctly, 3 marks. Each factor 1 mark. And the denominator 1, 2, 3. This one 2. So you have 1 factor for each, or 1 mark for each factor. Then we are going to cancel the factors out, cancel the same thing out. So x plus 1, the same bracket, cancel out is 1. X plus 2, they are same, cancel out is 1. X and x squared is the degree, take away 1. Another one is the whole thing gone. And x minus 2, we have x minus 2 here. So then we are going to see 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, then 5x plus 1 left. Then x times 1 times 1 times 1 times x minus 2, we have x times x minus 2 left. Okay, so this is no common factor further. This is simple list form. And because we have the division, so now we have 1, 2, 3. We have 3 denominators. So this one, 1, 2, and flip, you have another one. So you have 3 denominators. Then you need to find the restrictions for 3 of them. And you could just let each denominator equal 0 and find the restrictions. So we are going to use a factor form. So this is 1 denominator, the first one, plus 2x minus 2 equals 0. For restrictions, just each factor. For the denominator couldn't be 0. So x couldn't be 0. Solve for zeros. This one, x equals negative 2. This one, x equals positive 2. Because we solve for x plus 2 equals 0. Then we move the 2 to other side, give you negative 2. X minus 2 equals 0. Move the negative 2 to other side is positive 2. And that is the first denominator. And the second one, we are going to use x plus 1, x plus minus 2 equals 0. If you could see the zeros right away, you can just write it up. It's opposite, negative 1, positive 2. This is the second denominator. And the third denominator, so we have the third denominator is flipped. So third denominator is x, x minus 2, 5x plus 1 equals 0. Then each factor equals 0. Each bracket we call it factor. X equals 0, x equals 2, 5x plus 1. We are going to flip, move the adding subtracting to other side first. Then move the 5 to other side by doing opposite operation is division. So now we are going to combine all those restrictions together and make sure that it's from the smallest to the largest. So we are going to look for on the number line. So 0, negative 2, positive 2, negative 1, 0, 2, this one negative 1 over 5. Then we are going to write it this way, negative 2, negative 1, negative 1, negative 1 over 5, 0, and positive 2. That is that. So for this one, you have 8 marks for factoring, 10 marks for factoring, and simplify 1 mark, restrictions another mark. So altogether you have 12 marks. Okay. So what we have covered in this lesson is simplify for rational expressions is only one polynomial divided by polynomial by cancel the common factor out. Then after that we did if multiplying numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator, then find the restrictions for the two denominators. If division, we need to flip it, then you have 3 denominators, then try to factor each polynomial if it's possible, then cancel the factors out. So if adding, subtracting, not multiplying, we don't call them factors. Only we convert it to factor form, then the bracket times bracket, each bracket is a factor. So thanks for watching.